Hello everybody, welcome back to another video game analysis. And today we're going to look at more of a historical analysis on one of my favorite video game franchises of all time. That is the Mother Earthbound series, which is very different views on the series depending on what part of the world you're in. And here in the Western world, there are many things about this series that many people have different opinions. Here's mine, along with what happened and why the series is with us in the position it is today. So, in America at least, I'm not very sure about Europe. You gotta excuse me on that, but basically in the Western world, I can say RPGs weren't very popular, and and it wasn't because they hated it, but it was more of because of it had a mold. It was very repetitive RPGs. They were all in medieval times. They all had knights and wizards who had magic and weaponry and whatnot. And a game like Mother 1 really broke the mold. It was an NES title late into the NES lifespan. And the game broke the mold. It took an idea of, instead of magic, you had psychic powers, and you're in America during during the Roaring '20s, I believe, or the '30s, whatever time it was. And basically, the series ended up in 3 games as a trilogy, explaining the story of the evil Gygus, a ruler of a alien race that wants to take over the Earth and make aliens his puppet and whatnot, and it gets more dense as it goes on. And I'll go on with the trilogy story as time goes on. But by the end of the lifespan, Mother was very successful, but it was the end of the NES lifespan. And when Nintendo decided to bring it to America, they ended up saying no because everyone wanted to get a Super Nintendo at the time. So instead, they worked on their second project, Mother 2, or known here as Earthbound. And surprisingly, again, because of the RPG's reputation in America, it didn't really get much. There was not much sales, and they tried hard too. They gave out artwork and buttons, and there was one of the first games we packaged with a free strategy guide. Earthbound, the Earthbound series here in the Western world, or the Mother series in Japan and everywhere else, I'm guessing. It's not the game. It's not the groundbreaking game that made RPGs popular again. It was more for Pokemon and Final Fantasy, but it was an excellent start. The game series would move on to being less and less of a hidden gem, and more into a entire uh, revelation of what it did. Really, it did a lot for gaming. It didn't really get the gears rolling. Like I said, that would really go for more of for what Final Fantasy and Pokemon did for RPGs. But Earthbound was a great predecessor to that idea, and the idea of pushing things forward and making such a great idea is in all aspects: the atmosphere, the gameplay mechanics, the story, the characters. It all came together in this game. It was the first time a real masterpiece was able to come like this. And the gameplay ideas were incredibly fun. Like I'm surprised not all RPGs do this. You can, if you're too strong, way stronger than the enemy, and they know you'll beat in one turn, you don't have to fight them. It'll just say you win and you get the experience points. In shops, when you buy new items, without having to go back to another menu, let's say, would you like to sell this item, the last item? Would you like to equip it here? You say yes. Then you say, would you like to sell the last item? You say yes. And there's all those little ideas that made the gameplay less tedious and more fun. And all the ideas and all the things came together to really push you to find out a very deep story that looks very childish and young on the outside, but has so much underneath. And that is something I like to think makes the best games. There's so much more to it than you really can see from a first look through of it. Like, you have to delve deep into it. That's why it's important that if to play a game more than once, especially. And a game like Earthbound, the series like Earthbound or Mother, is something that evolved into something that not many people heard of because of the time frame it was in, but now is something that people recognize as a huge point in gaming. And we'll see where the series goes, but for now, let's talk about what we have so far. The whole game series accomplished the idea of really more of a driven story, similar to the Zelda series. And uh, Earthbound Zero, or Mother One, surrounded the little boy known as Nintendo, who had to set out on a journey, finding out that there's more to him than was led on as an average boy in the early 1900s. Would move on across the country through deserts, mountains, and just see the whole world for the first time, and meet friends along the way. And each game has that. That's the basic idea of each game in the series. With Nintendo here, and Ness and Lucas in Mother 3. I'm sure you guys know them from the Smash Bros. Series, but not Nintendo, unfortunately. Nintendo would move on. Nintendo, Ness, and Lucas had one thing in common. They all had become a man in a rushed and quick amount of time because they pretty much had to step up and be the hero because they were in the forced position to, whether it was for love or for a loss or whatever. This game series became so popular because of its use of story and its use, and not many RPGs did that. It was to such a deep level anyway. They did do that, but this was a very deep story that had, and what made it so cool was there's a lot of symbolism and a lot of analysis you can make about this, and a lot of people have their own ideas, such as the Gygas fetus theory and such. The whole series is a testimony to the idea that this may seem innocent enough on the surface, but there is a lot going on. A perfect example is, in fact, Mother 2 or Earthbound, which is why it's the most heard of game, uh, other than the fact that it is the only game that had an American release. Mother 3 was going to be originally Mother 64, however, or Earthbound 64 here. However, because of time constraints and whatnot, which is a common problem, they ended up switching it to the Game Boy Advance, and it did not make a American release because they figured Earthbound wasn't so successful in America. They probably didn't want to bother. But when Brawl came out, which I'll get to in the next point, a lot of people got really spirited into it, and these things happen. The idea here is that Earthbound has so much underneath that can get pretty adult, and that's the point. You know what? For especially for a 16-bit game, and then for the Earthbound, Earthbound Zero, Mother One being an 8-bit game, it was incredible how you could connect with these characters because you wouldn't think so, especially in days like these where we have fully animated models that look like that you can looks like real and you can touch them. Playing Arkham City, I can look at Batman. I see every hair on his chin, and he speaks with a human voice. It's not text boxes, but that's not always true. If you're a great developer with great ideas and creativity and really think it through, such as Itoy, the creator of the series, you can really make characters even though they look like little kid drawings. It's a very inspiring thing. And this game, that's one of the reasons why this is one of my favorite series of all time. Despite the fact that I've only played one game of it and only seen the other two through Let's Plays, I can tell you, it's a fantastic series. It makes that much of an effect on a person. Now, some people aren't that into it. I understand, but this is just what I think, and I have a common. I like that. I think I have a common opinion of many other fans of the series. The whole idea here is courage, courage, wisdom, and friendship. That's the idea here. It's the whole staple of the series, along with the gameplay mechanics such as psychic powers and all and such. It's about accomplishing goals. It's about going through seeing the whole world and and learning what it means to become a adult, or more appropriately, to become a hero, to accomplish something that no one else would ever dream of. And whether you disagree or not, you gotta admit that is a great accomplishment for a game series. It's so much that a whole nation would move on to not really know the series very well, but really want to. And when it gets denied from them, they'll fight, just like the Earthbound kids. Like I said, the whole idea of story here, like a lot like Zelda, really pushed the game forward. But what it did better than Zelda was it didn't have to put the whole thing in a very nice manual or in a little instruction, a little store text going up. It was a game that's one of the games that started the idea of not only having really fun ideas and gameplay guys, especially with an RPG, which can get a lot of people. A lot of people are not into the idea of turn-based battles and whatnot, and leveling up and equipping items and whatnot. It can get them a little bored after a while, because the idea of the Mother series was it really allured the player, and although it wasn't one of the first ideas of cinematography within gaming, it was very close. The Mother series became popular for reasons like that, along with the great gameplay and the really fun moments and the clever, witty dialogue within the game. It's something that's very special to people, including myself. And the Western world sees Earthbound with so much mystery, and now it'll be a lot less with the Virtual Console coming out. But we fought and fought, and we wanted this. It's amazing what a very spirited gamer can really accomplish if you really work hard, and all the things that come together. It's something really interesting, and the whole franchise is just popular for that reason. I mean, in Japan, it's just a normal franchise. It's no different than Mario or Zelda or anything really. But here it's something. But here it's something that's a little more mysterious. And the reason it got into Smash Brothers was because Japan loved the series too. And when we saw it, we got interested ourselves because where did this character come from? Who is this character? Happened again in Melee with Fire Emblem, and now the 3DS game became the new 3DS Fire Emblem game became one of the most popular Fire Emblems ever. It's just how it is. So it's clear that this game exhibited so much imagination and creativity, and a lot of thought and care, and that's all you really need for a great series. It's a lot of work, but it is so doable, and when it does, especially when you get the honor of being a Smash Brothers character, it just works so well. And the fact that this game is coming out on the Virtual Console for the Wii U is such an accomplishment for the Western world, because there is in America we had a little thing called Mother in America. It was begun from the fact that we wanted Earthbound in America. We wanted to experience this series, and we missed out on something good. But Nintendo didn't take the risk. and we never got it. Mother 3 came out, we had no idea. We just assumed that Earthbound 64 was fully canceled, and that was it. But a little game, but as the Mother America series died out, a little game called Super Smash Brothers came out, and we saw this little boy named Ness, and we had no idea who he was. So, clearly, our curiosity got the best of us. We did some research, and we said, hey, there was a movement for this, and let's bring it back. There's actually a Nintendo Power issue where they're on the cover, congratulating the leaders of the North American movement, their effort and their time. And there is a whole website dedicated, which is an excellent website. There's a whole website dedicated to the idea, known as starmen.net. Check them out. It's a really great site. And the idea here is, wow, the whole movement came out for this game series. I already explained Mother 1 or Earthbound 0. Earthbound 2, Mother 2 or Earthbound here, that I'm showing because it's the only game I can show, is a game that really took the first game and made it much bigger, like a sequel should. And Mother 3 continued that, made it bigger, which it should. A lot of cool gameplay mechanics, a lot of cool ideas, and a great, heartwarming story with a lot of risk and danger, a lot of moments of hardship for our heroes. We would move on to to Earthbound, where Gygas has returned, and this time with a vengeance. In this game, you go from place to place, much like the first one, where you go place to place and discover a new part of the world, such as cultism, police brutality, and realizing that people that you thought would defend you can sometimes, not that often, but sometimes be very mean and wrong and evil. And you see all the evils in the world. You see the evils of prostitution, the evils of debt, forced debt and trickery, and you go there and you try to overcome it, and that's what real life is all about, and that's what makes the game so potent and so important and interesting to the gamer players, which is why Mother in America existed, especially when Mother 3 came out. Brawl was a big middle finger when it came to Earthbound fans because of all the things they showed off from Mother 3 that we had no idea what it was about. And it was so fascinating. We wanted to play Mother 3, we never got it. But we decided to get to work, and once again, and it still continues this day, and we now have the honor of having Earthbound coming to the Virtual Console, which is a great start. So let's hope for Mother 1 and Mother 3 to get there. Let's hope. We want to see that charming, whimsical game. We want to see the whole series all the way through and really connect to the story. Pokey here, spoilers. If you want to skip through this rest of this part, you can, because it is. I'm going to spoil the other two games for you. Earthbound in the end, it turns out our friend Pokey here is actually working with Gygas. It felt like he was a lonely child, even though Ness wanted to try to be his friend. He felt like he was a lonely child. He was also a cowardly child, and he's not very bright, which is the opposite of the lessons they want Ness to learn, which is very well thought out. And he ended up working with Gygas the whole time, making Ness's mission harder and more difficult in order to defeat him. But it didn't work. Ness won and saved the world. In Mother 3, it began this new world that forgot about the old world and tried to live in ignorance, which wasn't good and never could last, which the game made true. The game would move on to the fact that Gygas was dead and Pokey was the enemy. Years later, much in the future, he would come out and try to destroy Lucas in his attempts to save the world. Take over the world. And once again, our good pal Lucas, despite his fear, acting despite his fear, much like Luigi and like Ness taking action because it's the right thing to do, like Mario. Kind of interesting, huh? Lucas defeated Pokey, and that was the end of it all. Everyone could live in peace. Right there, wisdom, courage, and friendship. It's a great and powerful message, and it's an important part of gaming because you want to have that overlaying staple that makes a story, especially for a trilogy, so interesting. And of course, the gameplay mechanics are important too. It's just brilliant. It works. All right. Thank you all so much for watching, as always. And next time we're going to tackle on music in video games. And this is something I think I can pretty knowledgeable about. Something I'll be looking forward to talking to. So, as always, thank you guys for watching. I've been Billy, your video game analyzer. Yeah, we'll have a lot of fun next week. I'll be a lot of fun this week, and I'll see you next time.